boss demanded I work overtime without pay, so I followed the rules and tanked his project. Oh, let me tell you about the time my boss, Hans Ulrich, decided he could pull a fast one on me. Now, I've been with this company for a good 5 years, working my ass off as a software engineer. The company, Kleinetech, wasn't huge, but we had some solid projects and a pretty good team. My name's Helmut, and I've always prided myself on being a good worker. But Hans Ulrich, man, he was a different breed altogether. One Friday afternoon, as I was wrapping up my week, Hans Ulrich storms into the office. The guy's got this stern look on his face, like he's about to announce the end of the world. "Helmut," he barks, "I need you to stay late tonight and finish the coding for the Kleinstructor project." I looked at him baffled. "Hans, it's Friday. I've got plans, and besides, I've already clocked my 40 hours for the week. I'm not getting paid for overtime, remember?" Hans Ulrich's face turned a shade of red I've only seen on cooked lobsters. "That's not my problem, Helmut. The project needs to be done by Monday, and we're behind schedule." I tried to reason with him. "Hans, I've been working nonstop on this. I need a break, and you know damn well company policy is no overtime without pay. We all agreed to that when you cut our benefits last year." But Hans Ulrich was having none of it. "You'll do as I say, Helmut. This is not a negotiation." And with that, he turned and walked out. I was fuming. I mean, who the hell did he think he was? But I had a choice to make. Either bend over and take it, or find a way to get back at him. And that's when the idea hit me. Over the weekend, I stewed over Hans Ulrich's demand. My girlfriend, Hilda, noticed I was in a foul mood and asked what was up. I told her everything, from the overtime demand to the no-pay bullshit. Hilda's always been the pragmatic one. "Why don't you just do what he says, but follow the rules to the letter?" she suggested. It was like a light bulb went off in my head. "You know what, Hilda? You're absolutely right. If Hans Ulrich wants to play dirty, I'll play by the book and show him what's what." Come Monday, I was ready. Hans Ulrich strutted into the office, already looking smug. "Did you finish the project, Helmut?" he asked, barely hiding his anticipation of my failure. "Not exactly," I replied coolly, "but I made significant progress." Hans Ulrich's face twisted in confusion. "What do you mean, not exactly? It needs to be done, Helmut." I shrugged. "I worked my 40 hours last week, as per company policy, and I used my time this weekend to rest, also as per company policy. I started working on it again at 9 a.m. today, as per our work hours. It's not my fault the project timeline was mismanaged." He looked like he was about to explode, but managed to hold it together. "Fine, but you need to stay late tonight and finish it." I smiled. "Sorry, Hans. Company policy clearly states no overtime without pay. If you want this done, you'll have to approve overtime pay." Hans Ulrich was livid. "This isn't over, Helmut. We'll see about this." That week was pure chaos. Hans Ulrich tried everything to get me to work overtime without pay. He sent passive-aggressive emails, tried to guilt-trip me in meetings, and even had a couple of the other managers, like old Gerhardt and young Liesel, try to convince me to stay late. But I stood my ground. Every time he tried, I threw the company policy back in his face. By Thursday, the project was still nowhere near completion, and Hans Ulrich was feeling the heat from higher-ups. He called an emergency meeting, trying to figure out how to salvage the situation. The meeting room was tense. Hans Ulrich started laying into me, saying I wasn't a team player and was jeopardizing the company's future. I couldn't hold back any longer. "Hans, you know what? This isn't about me not being a team player. This is about you refusing to follow the same rules you expect us to abide by. You want me to work overtime? Fine. Pay me for it. Otherwise, stop trying to strong-arm me into doing free work." The room went silent. Everyone was staring at Hans Ulrich, waiting for his response. His face went through a series of emotions, from rage to realization. Finally, he just said, "Meeting adjourned." By Friday, word had spread throughout Kleinetech about the showdown between me and Hans Ulrich. People were divided. Some thought I was being unreasonable, while others saw me as a hero standing up to a tyrant. Hans Ulrich called me into his office that afternoon. "Helmut, we need to talk," he said, trying to sound reasonable. I sat down, bracing myself for another round of bullshit. "What's up, Hans?" He sighed. "Look, I get it. You're right about the policy, but we're in a tight spot here. If this project doesn't get done, it's my head on the chopping block." I looked at him, feeling a slight pang of sympathy, but then I remembered all the times he'd screwed us over. "Hans, I'm willing to help, but you need to understand we're all in this together. If you want us to go above and beyond, you need to show us the same respect. Approve the overtime pay, and I'll finish the project." Hans Ulrich sat there for a moment, thinking it over. Finally, he nodded. "Fine, Helmut. I'll approve the overtime pay." I couldn't believe it. "Seriously?" "Seriously," he said, defeated. "Just get the damn project done." With overtime pay approved, I got to work. The team rallied behind me, and we pulled a few late nights to get the Kleinstructor project finished. By Monday morning, it was done, and we'd even managed to add a few extra features. Hans Ulrich called a meeting to present the project to the higher-ups. They were impressed, and for a moment it seemed like everything was back to normal. But I knew better. The team knew better. Hans Ulrich had shown his true colors, and we weren't going to forget it. A few weeks later, an anonymous email went out to the company's board of directors detailing Hans Ulrich's attempts to force unpaid overtime and his general mismanagement. I don't know who sent it, wink wink, but it led to an internal investigation. By the end of the month, Hans Ulrich was demoted and replaced by Gerhard, who actually knew how to manage people. The company started revising its policies, and we even got some of our benefits back. Looking back, standing up to Hans Ulrich was one of the best decisions I ever made. It wasn't just about the overtime pay. It was about standing up for what was right and showing that we wouldn't be bullied into submission. So, if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, remember this: know your worth, stand your ground, and don't let anyone, especially not some power-hungry boss, take advantage of you.